Hello and welcome to BQ Prime. I'm your host Vikas Srivastava. Today we have with us the founder chairman of Avaada Group, which is into the renewable sector with a primary focus. Mr. Vineet Mittal, the chairman, will talk to us about the potential shortage of skilled workforce in the green hydrogen mission plan that the government has and the kind of associated requirement for workforce that India is going to have if it has to meet its aspiration for being the global leader for the hydrogen market. Welcome to BQ Prime, Mr. Mittal.
Thank you, Vikas. Thank you for hosting me.
Yeah,
And
so basically, we are going to talk about this potential shortage that the industry is talking about, going ahead as India picks up steam, as far as the hydrogen transition is concerned or the green transition is concerned for the country. How do you foresee this foreseeable shortage that the country is expected to face, and in the context of India's green hydrogen mission as well as India's aspirations to be the global leader in the hydrogen market?
as you rightly said, Vikas, India has set an ambitious target of producing 5 million ton metric ton of green hydrogen by 2030. And skilling is absolutely critical to achieve our green hydrogen target. We need a highly skilled workforce capable of implementing these transformative projects across the entire value chain, from equipment manufacturing to green hydrogen project installation, operations and maintenance. And the good news is that if you look at all the 4, 5 technology provider of ammonia process, whether it is KBR, Halda Tapso, Udhe, or Kasale, or others, everyone's talent pool resides in India. So whether it is based out of Vikhroli, Pune, Bangalore, Gurgaon, uh, Baroda, or Noida, uh, there is a large pool of already trained resources which exist in India, because India being the talent pool for all these companies for decades, and India has a very large fertilizer manufacturing economy, and they are all trained in operations and maintenance. We have several projects. But having said that, what is needed, the scale which we are now aspiring is so big that we have an opportunity to create a huge skilled manpower, not just for India, but for rest of the world as well, because every country in the world is looking at exploiting this opportunity, and there is an acute skill shortage across the world. So the government, in coordination with stakeholders like industry, with banks, technology provider, manufacturer, etc., is already working in bridging the skill gap through specialized courses, skill program. Our associations like CII, SPDA, etc., are also working with the government in terms of saying what more industry needs. So I think lot of work has already started happening, but through your channel, I would like to say to the youth that it will provide a huge opportunity for people across different branch of engineering, different branch of management, different branches of ITI and other institutes.
Right. As you said, a lot of work has already been initiated in this direction. But what could be the potential challenge and risk for the industry in case if these challenges are not taken up seriously or not much is being done, as and when required? So, what are these challenges that the industry can face or the consequences?
So I think a shortage of skilled labor can hinder the timely achievement of our targets. We are taking a proactive measures as an Avaada to identify a skill gap and initiate comprehensive skilling and reskilling program through our partner institute, and part of the programs we are adding ourselves, and we are actively collaborating with academic associations, private universities, and some of these research organizations to ensure comprehensive skill development as far as we are concerned with implementing our business plan. But I think there is a need for such initiative across the country. Central government is taking very proactive step in this direction, and I think there is a need to further collaborate between such initiative between states and center, state government and educational institution, state governments and industry as well. And if we can align these, then I think it will be not only good for the workforce which is looking for high-end job. I think what industry can do, industry can provide expertise and industry-specific training modules, hand-on practical experience, and educational institute with the help of government can also actually change the curriculum to suit the requirement of green industry, because earlier all these talent pool were getting trained because of the gas based ammonia plant or coal based ammonia plant, and that's not the future. The future is for green, and there is an acute need for partnership to revisit the entire curriculum and create a talent pool which does not meet only requirement of today, but after 2030 India has an ambitious export target also. To meet that, we need to create a talent pipeline that meets the skill requirement of green energy sector, green ammonia sector, and becomes the source for the rest of the world.
Right. Do you see any kind of potential hurdle for industries in terms of collaboration with the government, center, state that is concerned? What kind of potential hurdles could be there that needs to be mitigated in advance?
I think government support is pivotal in facilitating the success of skilling initiatives. So continued financial support to institutions for adopting it, policy reforms, and partnering with the technical education department and MNRE and institutes like NICE, NIVE, etc. are very important, and probably even creating a regulatory framework that incentivizes the private sector's involvement to make it successful. And I think what industry association is doing, the government can also do, is fostering the partnership between academia, industry, vocational training institute to ensure the availability of high quality skilling opportunity, and make sure that a lot of students who are coming out of college can directly be employed by companies such as ours. So there is a lot of work needs to be done. I think a lot of discussions are already happening, and I think execution plan needs to be put in place. And sometimes we see huge resistance from educational institutions as well, because the awareness about green hydrogen, green ammonia, and is not as good as probably for solar sector or wind sector.
Yeah, so solar also I think took several years before it really came up. So I think same may happen for green hydrogen also. But just to put a perspective to it, in terms of requirement of skilled workforce, what would be the total demand, say, next 2 years, 5 years, and 10 years by 2030, if there is any industry study that you are aware of?
I'm not aware of our industry, but based on our own growth aspiration and the numbers our HR had taken an approval on board side, I can say that you are looking at million plus of job requirement by 2030, and these will be high quality jobs in selling green ammonia, in educating people on, say, carbon border adjustment mechanism of Europe, teaching them on JCM mechanism of Japan, mechanism in the Korea. Then on the technology side, almost in every department, huge job opportunity exists, right from traditional sectors like civil, electrical, instrumentation, electronics, electrical, you name it, almost every branch of engineering we would be using. a lot of workers from ITI, diploma institutes, and for marketing, brand professionals. So I think this industry, uh, if the government is successful in implementing its plan, which after the last hydrogen conference, I'm fairly confident government would. So you are looking at 10 lakhs plus job by 2030. And people who are listening to this and have interest in the future of India, they should look it as more promising than even IT industry because there is a skill shortage and this is something which is just growing. So the people who will join this now probably would get the steepest career progression, and probably someone who joins as manager or senior manager today, maybe in a decade will be the CEO. Like a lot of my employees who joined us as a junior people decade back, and when I meet them at various conference and they say I'm running this division for this company, I'm running this company, it makes me feel proud that Avaada was instrumental in creating so many CEOs and top leadership for solar and wind industry across India. And many times I meet such people across the globe in Germany, in Korea, sometime in Japan. So I think it's a fantastic opportunity for people who are looking to unleash their true potential after the education.
Right, right. A couple of questions on your company as well, like, on your renewable projects. You are there into solar manufacturing, you said. You are there into as a developer also, you are there for solar, wind, both. And then you have raised a lot of funds off late, recently from foreign funds also. So if you can give us a small update on your projects, what is the kind of expectation on commissioning of your solar projects are concerned? Since we last met, you said couple of gigawatts are expected by December. So what's the status right now, and how do you see all of these projects panning out?
So I think when we last met to now, we have already commissioned those 2 gigawatt. We were probably the only company during 2022 which commissioned 2+ gigawatt of projects. So now we have more than 4 gigawatt of operating asset, almost 3.1 gigawatt under different stages of construction or engineering. Our target is by 2026 will be a 11 gigawatt renewable energy company. And in terms of our other ventures, we expect that by next year we will start manufacturing module locally in our first factory, and by 2025, right from ingot to module will be up and running. We have already received PLI support from central government. There are several state governments who have supported us with the state incentive to become more successful in their state. So we'll be announcing publicly our two manufacturing unit before the year end on the in got to module manufacturing. And when it comes to ammonia, I think our tender is out for our first 500,000 ton of green ammonia, where we are looking at EPC partners who can help us execute these projects right from electrolyzer block, ammonia blocks, and rest of the stuff. We have already uh, gone into that stage, and a lot of work has already started happening. So we are targeting to have our solar panels come into the market next year, and our green molecules to come in 2026 and 2027 for the export market. We would be ready.
Right. As far as investments for both these projects are concerned, in fact, three of them are concerned. One, your solar, as well as your module manufacturing, ingot to module, and your green hydrogen. So what's the kind of investments that you have lined up? And the recent fundraise, if you can talk a little bit about that, would that be sufficient to meet these requirements?
See, Avada is an evolving company, and now, by God's grace, we are profit making. Once you have, as you would know, that once you have so many gigawatt of operating asset, they all generate cash flow. And as we and our shareholders, we are all not looking at any dividend per se. We are not a public company, so we don't have pressure to give any dividend to the shareholder. So all the internal accruals are getting deployed in the growth of company for next 3 years. The reason we did $1.3 billion of equity round because we want to become a sand to molecule company. And these days, for newer industry, banks are very skeptical. They had burnt fingers during the first phase of solar module manufacturing, where there were multiple NPAs. So they feel more confident if you have equity sitting in the bank account, and then you get the finest rate in terms of your debt rate, because they are not perceiving risk in terms of that whether you would be able to raise equity or not. And I tell the banks when I meet them that I will put 100% equity upfront in the bank account. So when you show that level of commitment to a project, the banks realize that you are fully committed to make it successful, because you are putting in first your equity into the project, and then drawing down even on the debt, increases their confidence manyfold, and the uncertainty goes away from the funding side. If you have the land, you have the evacuation, you have the team in place, you have the customer in place, then the entire ecosystem is ready. So basically, that's what we wanted to do, that increase the bank's confidence in Avaada as a company, increase potential employees' confidence in Avaada that we are fully funded to deliver on our vision, and your future is not only secure, it's very bright with Avaada because we are fully funded. And we also wanted to optimize our cost of funding because we are able to put the equity upfront. Our cost of funding becomes very fine and competitive, and that's why we raised such a large equity round.
So on this $1.2 billion of equity, how much debt you are looking at for your projects?
So it's actually $1.3 billion
1.3.
equity plus a lot of internal accrual. So usually in India, the projects are funded 75-25. Avada does not go for 80-20 debt equity ratio. Our board does not approve that. We are a bit cautious company. We don't have any leverage at the holding company level or the promoter company. We have a zero debt, and our with say $1.5 billion cash availability, you can raise 4 times theoretically $6 billion of debt and complete the $7.5 billion worth of project.
Right, right. And how much capacity you are setting for solar module manufacturing?
So initially we are starting with 3 gigawatt of ingot to module, and target is we will ramp it up quickly to 5 gigawatt, and then eventually target is 10 gigawatt at some stage.
Time scale is what for this
So
three?
2025 it will be 5
Five.
gigawatt.
Right. Okay. Okay. And as far as your hydrogen, you said timeline is 2026. The tenders
So
are out.
currently we are tenders are out.
Hmm.
Usually in such large project, it takes 5 to 6 months to finalize the tender, clear all the engineering doubts, and making sure that it's a win-win situation for EPC company who's working for us and us,
Right.
because it's a long-term partnership. These are not simple vanilla EPC contract like our solar and wind projects are. They are fairly complicated and relatively new industry. So our target is typically these such projects take 28 to 32 months based on availability of electrolyzers and some of the other critical component like compressor, etc. Because the industry was moving at a snail pace earlier, and now it has got active traction because of many projects are coming up across the globe. So there are some supply side constraint on the critical component, but typically what we are seeing is the our EPC partners have quoted from 24 to 32 months to deliver the project, and that's how we are coming to the target of 2026
All
to
right.
become live and operational.
When is your bid closing for this?
So our target is by this year end, sometime for this kind of project. It's an aggressive target. So that's how we are targeting internally. And the ultimate goal is that we have to be up and running by 2026.
And one last question, where are these two projects coming up for hydrogen?
So we are currently not disclosing the location yet. And at subsequent time, we will be announcing the location.
Thank you, Mr. Mittal. It was pleasure talking to you. Thanks for taking out time and talking to us.
Thank you, Vikas, for giving me the opportunity. Have a blessed day. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.